I'm Gary Blair, and I'm going to read one of the adventures of Paddy McQuillan by W.G. Little, who wrote a series of articles called Robin's Readings, and this is his trip to Glasco. Did ever I tell you about my trip to Glasco? That was the biggest spree ever I had in my life. Yet morning, when I was at my breakfast, says I, "Ma, I'm thinking of going for home a bit." "That's no very far, I hope," says she. "For there's a good one of the pretties to be raised yet, and you can't be well spared awa." "Where are you going?" "I'm going out of the shock to Glasgow," I said. "You're going to mischief," says she. "Where's that?" says I. "If it's only part of Glasgow, I'll be there, for I mean to see all that's worth looking at." "You know, gang you fit," says she, "and if you persist in it, I'll look up your clays." "Well, if you do," says I, "I'll gang and list. I will as sure as death." I hadn't another word to say. Whenever my ma refused me ocht, I just threatened to list, and then I got whatever I wanted. Poor body. She made as muckle preparations for me as had been gone to America. She baked about 3 griddlefuls of hard bread and a whole lot of soda and purdy bread, and then she put up a wee crook of butter. Says I, "You didn't mean me to starve anyway." "Oh," says she, "you're gone to a good cold country, and you'll not find money as kind to you as your old ma." "I'm very sure of that," says I, "and I'll no forget you when I'm awa. How muckle money will you give me with me?" "Well, I'll pay your passage and half a crown for your pocket," says she. "Ah, how your tongue," says I. "I'll take a couple of pun at the least," says I. "Sorra, a couple of pun? You'll talk wi' you get robbed, do it," says she. "You want to be long there to be relieved of your money. You're far hard on the Scotch folk," says I. "I didn't believe they were half as bad as you make them appear." And really, I was racht when I said that, for I declare I met the nicest, kindest folk in Glasgow that ever I saw in my life. They're just like ourselves, only they're a wee bit sharper, and I think their hearts are maybe about 2 inches further in than us. Well, I got awa at last, but I didn't get very muckle money with me. My ma made a bargain with me that she would gang into the town and send me a money order. Poor body. When I was starting that day, she roared like a wean. "Paddy dear," says she, "I hope you'll no be drint, but I have foreboding that something'll happen ye. It's going to be a cursed nicht, and I'll no sleep a wink for thinking about ye." "Hoots, man," says I. "Cheer up and tell me what I'll be bringing ye from Scotland." "Oh, Paddy, just bring yourself hame to me. Keep the middle of the boat, dear, and watch your fit getting into her. Goodbye and God bless ye. Watch the Scotch folk, and dinna be bringing a wife home with ye, or I'll put yous both out," says she. I was rid of her at last, and when I got the length of Belfast, I made my way down to the quay and bought my ticket. My goodness, but those big boats. I didn't ken who they'd make them va. There maun be a gey lot of timmer on them. I wasn't long on the boat till they started her, and I declare they let her off as easy as I would mere and curt. When I saw the folk and houses moving past me, my heart began to quiver, and a lump got up in my throat. I went and leaned over the side of the boat, and great big tears dripped down into the sea. "Oh, my dear," says I, "I'll maybe never see yous nae mair." With that I hear somebody saying, "You're no sick already." Thinks I, that's some Scotch body. But it'll not be me he's speaking to, so I never moved. "You're no sick already," says he again, and this time he touched me on the shoulder. With that I burrowed in and looked at him. He was a Scotchman, every inch of him, and he had a thing in his head as big as a griddle, with a tassel and a top o't. They call them Tam O'Shanters in our wee country. "How do you find yourself?" says he. Says I didn't ken I was loosed." "Oh," says he, "I mean, how do you feel?" "Man," says I feel our. "I thought I kenned you when I spake you," says he, "and I think I hae seen you somewhere." "I'm sure you hae," says I, from their money a time. Well, are you going to Glasgow, says he. I took a ticket for it anyway, says I. He took a big snuff box out of his pocket and put it about the full a teaspoon up his nose. Then he held the box to me and told me to take a pinch. No, thank you, says I will not. And what for no, says he. Man, it's the very best. And that's no saying very much for it, says I. For what's the best of it but a pickled coffee and drum glass that tickles your nose and makes you sneeze? You hear a gay sharp tongue in your head, says he. Very near as sharp as a Scotsman, says I. But it's a cow neck, says I. And I'm awa and warm myself up and started off to another part of the boat to get rid of him. That's the wrong road, says he. Do you ken where I'm going, says I. No, says he. And how do you ken whether it's the right road or the wrong, says I. Says he, I thought you were going to the steward for a glass of toddy to warm you up. When I seen him say civil, I asked him would he eat a piece of hard bread and butter. Oh, well, that, says he, from getting hungry we sniffing the strong sea air. Oh, says I, you'll sniff the deal of that after you fretting on it. I turned round to look for my bundle, but just with that the boat get a heave that nearly knocked me off my feet, and only for Sammy, that was his name. I think I would have fell. The boat gave a plunge forward till the water flew up over her. Says I, where's the captain? What do you want with the captain, says Sammy. There's her muckle wecks in the front end of the boat, says I, and he'd hate to shift them kye to the t'other end. Oh, there's no danger, says he. Well, I hope not, says I. With that the boat gave another roll and sent me on my hands and knees. I wish I was home, says I. Ma, I wish I had taken your advice. I saw Sammy blow on his nose and I kenned that it was only an excuse to hide his laughing, but I didn't heed him. He stepped there next to the side of the boat, but I got it howl to him. Dinna gang there, says I. Keep it all the way in the middle or she'll capsize. I didn't mean och mair, for I get a while except that I was lying one minute on my face and the next on the bread of my back. That seek that I didn't care the boat had get in. I'll never forget that night as long as I live. We reached Glasgow at last, and glad of the sicht it was to me. Sonny never left my side the whole time, and I declare I'd be good to talk a licking for him. You'll be all right when you get your breakfast, says he. Come away with me till we get a snack. Then if you like, I'll show you a bit of Glasgow. You're just as decent a man as ever I met, says I. And if I said anything last night that offended you, I beg your pardon, I do indeed. There's my hand, says he. I'm no yin bit angry, and I'll not see you stuck for a friend in a strange country. Come away now and get your breakfast. Man, sonny, says I was never as ready for me breakfast in my life. But tell me, says I, what'll we get? Does the folk here eat the same as we in the county din? Well, says Sonny, they eat pretty much the same, way I believe. And, dare I say, the victuals are very near alike too. But here we are, and with that he turned up a kind of an entry that he called a close. Man, says I, it is a close, sure enough. I can hardly draw my breath. With that he turned into a house, for all the world that looked like one you'd see in Princess Street in Belfast. For I noticed that the window was full of bowls of broth, pig's feet, and sheets of sandpaper. I mean, furls of hard bread. A lump of barefooted lass, with her head in a tither, come up to us and stood glaring at me as though it had been something no canny. Well, dear, says I, what way are you? Is the breakfast ready yet? She never spoke. Come, lassie, says Sonny. Never mind, Paddy. What are you ready? I hae some porridge here, and the luggy, says she. I didn't come here to sup porridge, says I. I get plenty of them at home. Give me a good cup of tea. And what will you take with your tea, says she? Will you hae finnan haddie or kippered herring? What sort's that, says I. I hear the fresh herring, salt herring, or glass herring, and red herring, but I never heard tell of a kippered herring afore. Let me see yen. And she ran awa and brought in something atween her finger and thumb, and held it up before my face. "Tak it awa," says I, "and give me a bit of beef." I didn't like the look of it. "Bring me a bowl of brose," says Sonny. "A bowl of what?" says I. "Peas brose," says he. "You ken that's Glasco good, and are a fine state." Well, the lass brought him a bowl of the brose, and the smoke of it rising to the ceiling. "Would you taste it?" says he, and reached me the foo of a big iron spoon. "Oh, I'll try it," says I, and so I did. But the yin spoonful was enough for me. It was worse than the crowd of me marmocks. "Tak a taste mair," says Sonny. "No, thank ye," says I. "The spoons are big for me mouth." Sonny soon let me see that the Scottish folk could eat the same way as we do. By my word, it was a caution to see him at it. When he had finished his brose, he fell to the bread and tea, and in about 12 minutes he had to shout at the lass, mair breed, lassie." When he had finished the 5th cup, he says to me, says he, "You see, I drink a good deal of tea to my breed." Says I, "Man, you do that, and you eat a good deal of bread to your tea." I cried the lassie and asked who muckle was to pay. Says she, "I'll gang pen and spear." "I didn't want ben nor a spear either," says I. "It's your bill I want." "Or bill," says she. "Oh, aye, I ken your meaning. Wally we call him, but he's no in the new." "You're a parcel of heathen," says I. "This is as bad as a fella on the gridiron." "Here, Sonny," says I, and I throwed him down a ween of shilling. "Pay for what he ate." That left me very little money, for as I tell you, my ma wouldn't give me muckle with me, but she promised to send me an order in the post office. "Sonny," says I, "is it far to the post office?" "Nah, no very far," says he. "Come along, I'll show it to you. I used to think Belfast a grand big place, but Glasgow beats aught ever I saw in my life. Ma, the heck to the houses, and the length of the streets. Some of them won't be 10 mile, I'm sure. I never saw the likes of it. And it's as true as I'm here, but the trains ran out of the tops of the houses. They do indeed." And that's the end of part 1 on his trip to Glasgow.